Hi there, Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 4 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you some new information on how to help you create the life you want. Today I want to talk about the concept of selves, these different parts of us that sometimes can be a help and sometimes can be a hinder. You know, it's not like I'm talking about split personalities, but we've all had the experience of, part of me wants to do this, another part of me wants to do this. There's actually some research and work that's been done in this area on a philosophy called the Psychology of Selves. This was done by the 2 psychologists in California, Drs. Hal and Sidra Stone, and they've looked at how we create these selves as we're growing up to kind of help us deal with the situation. For instance, if we happen to grow up in a critical environment, we might create a critic self who kind of criticizes ourselves before we can be criticized by those in our environment and maybe keeps us safe. So the idea is all these selves that were created, for the most part, were there to keep us safe. There's the critic, there's the pleaser, there's the rebel, there's the rule follower, there's the conscientious person. There's all of these little parts of us. And what a lot of people get confused about is trying to minimize one, stop that critic from being so critical, or just as we talked about it ourselves for being so critical. I've got to stop being so critical about myself. But again, this sets up this internal struggle. And when you try to criticize the critic just gets stronger. So what the Psychology of Selves talks about is really becoming what they call the orchestra conductor. They call it the aware ego. It feels a little formal to me, and some people look at ego in a way that isn't too great. So I like the term the orchestra conductor. So we can basically call upon these different parts of who we are depending on the situation, depending on what we want to accomplish. If we've made some mistake and it hasn't served us very well, versus looking at trying to blame others or just pretending it wasn't any big deal, maybe we could look and see if there's something we could do differently next time. Maybe we could take a critical eye and look at that particular choice or that particular way of being and ask ourselves the question, would I do that again if I were doing it? Would I do it differently if I were doing it again? The pleaser is not a bad thing. That is us basically wanting to be connected with others, being sensitive to what they need and sometimes meeting those needs. It's a wonderful way of creating, maintaining, sustaining relationships until it kind of crosses the line to where I have no real sense of who I am unless I'm pleasing you. I have no internal value. My value only comes in what I do for other people. And I find myself saying, yes, 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 when I really need to say no. There's a quote that I love that goes along with all my stress work. It says, stress is what happens when our gut says no way, but our mouth says no problem. So this idea of taking care of ourselves versus always trying to please others is another part of us. We need to have that part of us that knows how to take care of ourselves and makes that a priority. So I'm thinking what we want to do is kind of make friends with all these parts of us. Know the ones we want to bring out in specific situations. Know the ones we want to minimize, but it's not about trying to get them out of our personality or chase them away. It's just like we are playing a piece of music, and sometimes we want that percussion. Sometimes we want the wind instruments and the violins. So the more we can kind of make friends, become aware, number 1, of all these parts of us, that would be helpful. Number 2, see them as parts of us, and that way we can say, a part of me really da-da-da-da-da-da, but another part of me really da-da-da-da-da-da. And we can choose between those depending on what we would recommend to someone we love, depending on how it makes the statement about who we are, using the 4 criteria. For those of you who follow my Life from the Top of the Mind philosophy, I have these 4 questions. We can always ask ourselves to determine whether we want to keep doing what we're doing or change it. Am I doing it on purpose? Is it working for me? Is it making the statement I want to make about who I am? And would I teach and or recommend this to someone I love? So if the answer is no, I am criticizing myself, I'm just pleasing others, I'm breaking rules without really thinking about it or just following them blindly, would I recommend that to someone I love? Does that really make a statement about who I am? Is it working for me? Am I really doing it on purpose? So if the answer is no, we can then shift to, okay, What if I were responding to this situation on purpose, deliberately, in a way that defines who I am, in a way that I would recommend to someone I love? What would that look like? What part of me would I draw out at that point? And how would I bring that part into the music that I'm creating and leading as the conductor? I'm hoping you're finding these videos valuable. I'm having a wonderful time bringing them to you. If you do, please hit the like button. Share them with your friends. You know how Google and Facebook and YouTube and all the social media love it when you like it, love it when you share it. If you have any comments, feel free to put them below. I always read them and answer any ones that I can. If you want me to come and do a presentation for your organization on kind of bringing out the best in who we are, depending on the situation we're in, go to my website, Bill Crawford, Ph.D.com, or just Google Bill Crawford, and I'll come up on the first page. Hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in, and I would love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, here's to you bringing more clarity about the parts you're bringing out, and confidence in your ability to bring these parts out and deal with life creatively. More clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.